Today we have on Ed Lawrence. Ed has helped generate over 1 billion views and tens of millions of dollars from YouTube for coaches and creators. He's also known for helping James Smith add millions of dollars to his own business. And in this video, he's going to break down what it actually takes to grow a channel, how to generate views, sales, and leads, and give you his secrets for making videos that don't just make your subscriber count go up, but also your revenue. Now let's get into it. Ed, you've crushed it in terms of YouTube and helping people scale their business. In particular, James Smith's one of the ones who's got a lot of accolades for his success thanks to you. What first brought you into the world of YouTube and then also helping other people trying to crush it with that? 'Cause it's a very unique thing to have a skill set in.
There's a couple of reasons. First reason was I was looking at my life, doing crazy hours. I had a production company and I just thought, how am I ever going to pay myself the amount I deserve for the hours I'm putting in? And I was looking at the business model like, this is broken. I was like, if I want to get to like $250,000 a year, which was my goal, like personal income, I just did the maths. I was like, this doesn't work. It's broken. This business doesn't work. And then I was like, how could I possibly make that much money with my skill set? I was like, I don't really have a degree. I don't have anything else. And I was like, all I was good at was making content and editing and stuff. So I'd been watching people on YouTube talking about SEO and growing businesses. And I just thought, but these guys don't have a problem. You know, they're making crazy money selling stuff online. So at that point, I thought I need to grow a following and sell stuff to that following. So I gave myself 10 years. I said, if I just post 3 videos a week to YouTube for 10 years, there's not a chance in hell that I won't get my $250,000. I was like, and I thought year 10, that's probably where I make $250,000 a year. So for 18 months, I just put 3 videos out a week. Didn't miss one. I get up at 5 a.m. I do 3 hours, go to work 8 till like 6 or 7 at night. Then I just do YouTube until bed. And I did this over and over again. I got nowhere. And I was like, this is not working. I was like, the following was growing, the sub count was going up. And I was following what everyone told you to do online. And it didn't work. And I started thinking, oh, this is frustrating me now. Like, put a lot of work into this. So I started looking into like, maybe all the advice online is wrong. And it turned out it was. So I came up with a new strategy, put this content out, and then suddenly my videos started getting hundreds of thousands of views. So that was kind of like the first reason and the journey. The second reason was, weirdly, I wanted more backlinks to my company's blog. And I was like, no one's backlinking to me because why would they open an email from a stranger? So I was like, I need to become a somebody and then I'll get some authority and then people can backlink to my production company as well. So I did it because I didn't have a choice. And I also thought it would generate more Google traffic to my business, which is a backwards way of doing things.
It's funny how that's worked. It's kind of like flipped itself now the other way around. One of the things you said there that I absolutely love is that you gave yourself 10 years. Whereas I think most people think they're going to make one video and they're going to turn into kind of like Mr. Beast. They think it happens kind of overnight.
I was lucky because back then, all the advice was, you need to do this for 3 years. And everyone accepted that. There was no one who actually believed in this blowing up. And I think it's because there wasn't that many overnight successes, right? Or if they were, they weren't within business. So it never occurred to me that I would have overnight success. And my actual metric was, if I can grow my channel 5% every month for 10 years, I did the maths, I will end up with the amount of subscribers I need. And I was like, through having that many subscribers, I should be able to generate 25K a month or 20K a month very easily. So I just made sure every month I grew 5%. And I did. I kept hitting the targets. And that was it. It was just slow, sustainable, compounding growth. And I didn't expect anything else.
And you mentioned you came up with new strategies. How did you come about those? Was it looking at what was currently working and like kind of analyzing maybe competitors rather than just going what other people were telling you to do?
Well, that probably caused the problem of everyone wanting to blow up online. Because the old strategy was make videos for search, people will find you, and eventually you'll have this big evergreen bank of slow burning content and everyone just discovers you. And that's what I found frustrating because I'd put out a video, it would get like 90 views in a week and I had 8,000 subscribers. And I was like, why aren't people coming back? Like, if I want to sell something, I don't want to wait 6 months for a video to rank. I want to say I've got something for sale, like buy it now. So I started looking into the entertainment channels and how they got views because they weren't making videos for search. They were just getting clicks, right? And then stumbled across Daryl Eves, who was like the original YouTube expert. And he was talking about something completely different. So I just watched all of his videos and then it sort of clicked. And I was like, oh, there's a different way of doing this. And we can relate it to businesses, which is all about getting discovered on the homepage. and getting YouTube to push you rather than getting traffic from search. So it's the difference between fishing and hunting. Search is you throw out some bait and you sit and you wait for a fish to come and nibble. Getting views on the homepage and getting YouTube to push you is, you've got a spear and you're running around grabbing stuff fast, right? And you've got people coming to you and you're catching them. So that was the strategy that I now stick by. And it's the best one because if you think about how business works, you have cold viewers, right? And we need to warm them up to make them hot. So that ain't going to happen if they watch one video. So when you put a video out and it gets put on the homepage, as soon as you make it, that's going to go out to hot viewers. That's who YouTube pushes it to first. So it's a good way of getting your content pushed and warming people up because it keeps bringing them out. So you put 4 videos out a month and it brings 4 people back. So the same person back 4 times, right? At the end of the month, they're hotter. And then they're going to be more primed for your offer if you build the channel the right way. Whereas if you do search, you put a video out, 6 months later, someone finds it, watches that one specific video and doesn't necessarily watch anything else because nothing new gets pushed at them on the homepage. So it's slightly different.
So that hunting analogy is a very good visual to kind of think about, which I really like. When you're designing and structuring a channel, do you have to be very intentional from the beginning in terms of how you're doing it? So you're do you have to manipulate the algorithm to try and push your content a certain way? And do you ever see channels that maybe, like for example, we've got 3 YouTube channels. We've got a fitness channel, which was kind of a mess. I've just posted loads of random stuff over the years. Got 34,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what to kind of do with it at the moment. We kind of throw some business content on occasion, see what it works. And we've got like a specific business channel that does quite well, but some stuff pops and doesn't. And then a podcast channel. Do you think channels kind of get niched into a certain thing and they can't kind of break out of that because of the subscriber base?
You don't really want to break out of it, right? So YouTube's too competitive now. So if you're in the business space in particular, you're screwed because Hormozy sits at the top and Iman. And then you've got like Cody Sanchez and Simon Squibb underneath. And you've got to compete, right, for real estate on YouTube. And if you want to talk about business, YouTube's going to push Hormozy and it's going to score you guys and go, which one's doing better? And we've got Hormozy with his 100 million made in a day or whatever it is, right? And his years of experience, and he's a fantastic teacher. And then all these people who come into the business space talking with no experience, like they just don't stand a chance. You can't go broad business. So to compete, you have to own a word or a space of that niche. So for example, for you, it would be, I help fitness coaches. That's a bigger sort of space than super niche. Or you could be, I help fitness coaches over 40 grow online businesses. Or I help fitness coaches in the UK, right? So you kind of got to find a space and become that person. Now, the benefit of that is the more targeted you are to a specific person with a specific problem, the more likely those views are to convert into a buyer, so long as your offer is tailored exactly for that specific person. Because your content is the perfect solution for them, and then so is your offer. Whereas when you go broad, what can happen is you can build this huge, big audience, and then only like 10% who land on your page resonate with it. And then you've got to pre-qualify them, and then that huge audience ends up small, right? So for a lot of people, they're better off positioning themselves to solve one problem for one person, making sure the offer does exactly the same thing. And then what happens is the value per view, or dollar per view as I call it, shoots up a ton. So you can start making $10 per view rather than 0.02 cent per view in terms of how those views turn into cash in your pocket.
You mentioned you transitioned from one channel to a new channel. Why was that?
So I had a channel called Film Booth, and that was about teaching people to grow YouTube channels. It was too broad. So it got to 378,000 subscribers, but I then niched down for the exact reason I just said, right? In that my audience was gamers wanting to grow a channel, businesses wanting to grow a channel, entertainment channels, ASMR, like every niche within YouTube was looking at me. But I can't make a product that targets the desire as to why each one of those people actually wants to grow a YouTube channel. Because ASMR or like meditation channels, they just want ad revenue. The businesses, they just want sales. The entertainment channels, they just want views. So how do I position a product so that it appeals to one of them enough to go, that's the exact pain point I have? So you end up with this more generalized marketing, which doesn't work so well. But also the content I was putting on that channel, it's very hard trying to produce a video that appeals to so many different types of viewers. And the only way you can do that is by watering down the information and the knowledge level and the depth, and then pumping up the amount of entertainment so you can keep as many people happy as possible. This is the only way you can get lots of views, is if you appeal to lots of people, right? So I looked at it and I was like, this is just dumb. It's broken. The business was doing good, but I could also see tons of people popping up in my niche. And I was like, this niche is going to get crowded. What do I have that I can differentiate myself in a more targeted way? So I just shut it down. I was like, done with that. Target business owners, one avatar, businesses who want to grow a YouTube channel to generate sales and leads. I'd been doing that with my channel, so I had credibility and like a backstory to say, look, here's proof of earnings, here's how we do it. And then I just repositioned that channel to just be about how to grow a business via YouTube. And that's exactly what my offer does. So I had to reposition myself as the YouTube guru with the aim of, I want to be the guy who helps businesses generate sales, views, and leads via YouTube. Slightly different, but way more profitable. Way less time making content. My old video would take me 2 weeks non-stop. It's like a full-time YouTuber. Every video was getting hundreds of thousands of views, and that was kind of what you had to do. Whereas this new one, sometimes they take 2. Sometimes I might spend two weeks on them just planning in the mornings. The rest of my time is just spent working on my product, upgrading it, making it as good as I can. Then we get as many testimonials and results. Sales guys use them. It just creates a cycle where the business grows organically now.
Have you seen a big increase in revenue since switching to that?
Yeah, it was like 4x.
Okay, that's
within
pretty
a
wild.
year. Yeah. It's a more valuable offer to the right people. And that's why, going back to your original question, it makes sense to niche down, because it's easier, it's less work, and you'll earn more. If you can just drop the whole like views chasing thing, which often doesn't work as well as people think.
Do you think that's maybe people's ego and insecurity, where they think they get obsessed with trying to become famous instead of becoming rich, if that makes sense?
I don't know if it is, right? There's a status thing attached, but it doesn't make sense. I think that's the problem, because how can less views earn you more money? So even though I know this, I literally have software tracking. I can see this video made me $100,000 and it got 15,000 views, and this one got me 300,000 views and maybe $9,000. I know they don't relate, but you still have this feeling inside where you're like, I still kind of want more views. And it might just be because the views are very public on YouTube, or it might just be we feel that is the first sign of a payoff for our hard work, because the sales bit comes later, right? But yeah, I'm constantly having to retrain clients to be like, do not fall into the trap of thinking this is about views. The best way to look at YouTube for a business is not a YouTube channel. It's just a traffic source. Like, ads people don't get really emotional that their ads not pop in. They just go, cool, let's try some different creative. And that's the same with YouTube. You just try some different stuff. And when you find that thing that works, you repeat it, right? But it has to grow the business, not get the views.
Do you think that people who have maybe more of a specific niche should accept that they're just going to get less views? Say, for example, for us, if we're saying we're going to target, say we're going to make content just around fitness coaches, there's going to be an upper threshold in terms of like how big a pool of people there is going to be for that.
Yeah. So let's just say you might have a niche ceiling of 500,000 total addressable market on YouTube. You're never going to get 500,000 views a video. It's not possible, because you might find, even if all of them knew about you and YouTube put all of them in front of you, 5% will click. And that's never going to happen anyway. So the best way to cope with this is just to set a benchmark of views you're happy with. So when I switched, I was like, I know not to chase views. 10K per video, that's fine. Just stick to that. If you think it can make 10,000 views, you make it. And then anything above, that's fine. But I know that when I start going above that, we get worse inquiries, conversion rates crash on the site because it's cold or wider, it's the wrong audience. So it's tough because you need to see it work before you believe it. But once you do, it gets easier to stop chasing that sort of dream of just more and more views.
How important do you think the packaging is versus the actual video itself?
So, well, it's a chain reaction, right? So I guess it's like lighting a match and starting a fire. If you don't light the match, the fire can't be started. So the packaging is the match. But the positioning is more important. So positioning is, let's say you are, well, I'll tell you what happened to me. So I originally niched down by topic. I was like, this was years ago. I help businesses make videos, right? So I put a video out which was like how to edit, then the next one's how to light, then the next one's how to present. And that's 3 different problems. Why would the person who watches the lighting video come back and watch the editing? That's not their problem. They only care about lighting, right? So you put these videos out that feel like they're in the same niche, but really they're not. So positioning is where you go, what's the problem like they care about? And I realized, all they want to do is grow a channel. So I would turn around and then start making videos that were like, struggling to get to 4,000 subscribers, try this. And then I would teach them lighting, editing, and all the stuff they don't click on inside. So that's the first step. You got to work out how to position your videos so that they always target the main pain. And then every video just targets that pain. And then you talk about what the hell you like inside, so long as it relates to it. But then once you've got that down, you actually have the potential of bringing viewers back. Because even if you have amazing packaging, if it's the wrong positioning, they won't click on it. And then it's a case of going, right, how do I make an interesting thumbnail or title that gets this person to click? And the other thing that plays a big difference is format. So some people like long deep dives, some like short, lightweight videos, some like roasts, some like podcasts. So that is part of the packaging as well, right? Certain viewer types on my channel, like I know if I make a deep dive with a certain title, with a certain thumbnail, it's always going to perform for my business now. So just keep repeating what works. So that packaging is critical only once you know how to position. And then once those 2 stages are done, then the video kicks in. And then that's when, if you get all 3 right, you start to get lots of views. But it's confusing to start because so many people can't position themselves or pick their sort of niche or positioning for their channel because they want to solve every problem for everyone rather than one big one.
I'm smiling because that's me, hands up. And it's also, I think, entrepreneurs are that beautiful combination of autism and ADHD at the same time. Of like, I want to do all these fucking different ideas, and I think it's learning to kind of rein that in. Do you find there's a difference between longer videos tend to get pushed? Like, so from our own experience, you mentioned about deep dive videos. We did a video that was maybe 2.5 hours long. It was like a full course, how to build a 0 to 100K a month coaching business. If you go and watch it, it's doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Just like not massive view count. We've had some very broad videos about Dubai get 50,000 views. It's only got like 1,400. But it's constantly, it was like a week ago, it's constantly picking up like 100 views a day just off traffic that YouTube's pulling in.
Yeah.
But like, will literally just be our perfect avatar.
Yeah. That's the exact sort of content you want. With regards to like certain lengths doing better, no, there's no like magic formula here. You have to find what your audience wants by testing different lengths, different styles, different formats. And then when you see that one does well, repeat it. So let's say your video blows up and it gets 250,000 views and it is this deep dive, right? 250,000 people only know you for a deep dive. That's the only assumption we can make. So we have to assume that 250,000 people would come back if you made that. It's like why so many Fast and the Furious films get made, right? It's the same story over and over again. People just want the same thing. Because if you think about the way you go on YouTube, you look at a channel, right? And it's a new one and you're like, ugh, don't know if I want to click on this. It's going to be crap. Like, are they going to be good? I'm just going to go back to the other person I watch all the time. So getting a cold audience is tough. Once you've got them, you keep repeating the thing that works. So if you look at my channel, I just have the same titles. So one will be like exactly how to get to 1 million on YouTube. Then the next one, exactly how to get 100,000 on YouTube. Then the next one, exactly how to get to 10,000. And they'll all follow a very similar format. It's basically just repeating like a structure. Even the intros are usually the same words with a few other words swapped around because I just give those people what they want and they'll keep coming back.
Do you have a process or a framework in terms of how you come up with your titles and thumbnails and what kind of good looks like? Do you have like almost like a recipe and like, okay, I know this will work because of X, Y, Z?
Yeah. So if I break YouTube down into categories of risk. So most people are going to come up with a thumbnail and title and go, that sounds like a good idea to me, and make it. That's almost 99% likely to fail. Then you got the next category of risk, which is going and looking at other people's channels and then kind of copying the titles that worked for them. That's probably like 60 to 70% likely to not perform. And then you've got repeating what worked on your channel already, and that's probably like 50-50. Now, the average world-class creator on YouTube, these are people with massive teams, 3 in 10 of their videos perform above average, right? So we can never really expect more than that. But yeah, if I want to get views, I just repeat the title that worked on mine, slightly different. If I want to try and break out to a new audience or try something different, I go and look at other people's and I create a big list of titles and have patterns of what words do better and what styles of titles. And then I'm like, well, I've got to pick one. Let's just see what happens. And then you start putting stuff out to test. But that's the painful thing about YouTube. The feedback loop's the slowest out of every platform. Ads, within a week, you've got your data. Instagram, you can throw out a video a day so you can learn 30 times in a month. YouTube, that could be 30 weeks. So it's a game of finding that thing that works, and then when it is, doing it over and over.
What do you think the posting frequency should be on YouTube? So we did a test maybe 18 months ago where I did a video every single day for like maybe 35 days. I would have kept going if the guy was helping me said, like, I don't care, I'll just keep doing it. To try and find like things that would kind of hit in terms of like titles and thumbnails.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation in terms of general frequency?
So you can't really work out what's hit, right? If they all don't do very well, you've not learned anything. So a lot of people are like, I'm just going to do frequency. And it's like, well, you need to get good at making videos, which means spending a long time making a video until you're good enough to actually get some views. Because if you keep throwing stuff out and it's not very good, you just waste time and don't learn anything. So it's tough because when you hit a certain level and you actually know what you're doing, like I can double up my posting and I'll be like, the whole reason I'm doubling up my posting is to learn. But I already know what's going to work and I have good ideas. So I'll have a high risk video and a low risk one. And I'll be looking at certain things. When you don't know what you're doing, it's impossible to know. So really what you have to do is basically focus on the foundations, which are becoming across as a likable person on camera with some personality. That's kind of the most important. If you look at the biggest names, they're not doing anything flashy in their content. They're literally just talking with authority and credibility and then sharing loads of their stories. So you've got to master that. And then after that, you've got to come up with new and innovative ways to explain the same thing everyone else is talking about. And if you can do that, you've got the foundations down. But if you don't, there's no amount of tests that are going to work. So I would just say to people when they say this, just do one a week as well as you flipping can. And every video, if you can just learn one lesson and then take that lesson into the next, you'll win. If you blow up a video and you don't know why, you might as well have not blown the video up because you can't learn anything. If you have a flop that destroys you and you go, I've realized why, that is more valuable to your business than the one that blows up because it's repeatable, right? And you improve. So one a week as well as you can until you get to the stage where you're like, I have patterns as to what works on this channel now. And then double up because you can do the pattern that works and then try something new and then learn even quicker. But for me, I've been doing this for years. If I post 2 a week, that's a lot of my time will be focused on YouTube because coming up with the idea, the packaging, the hooks, the structure, simplifying the content, making it good enough is not something you can rush.
Do you ever recommend people do more like lifestyle type of content? So for example, I see a lot of like a few big American creators who do lifestyle content. There's a guy, I think his name is Brez Scales, some young American kid. He's like 20.
Yeah.
But his channel's kind of popping off. He's doing some other things behind the scenes with it. But he basically brings people into a lifestyle channel and then he pushes them from there into like a business channel.
Yeah.
Would you ever recommend any kind of weird or different strategies like that? Or
I'd never recommend that.
No.
It brings in the worst lead quality. So
just too broad?
Well, look, that sort of content isn't designed by people who are sitting there going, it isn't watched by people going, I have a problem I want solving right now and I'm willing to give some money to someone to solve it. That's someone sitting there on the sofa on their phone, ignoring it in the background going, oh, I like this guy. What's he up to now, right? So you don't get the same viewership. If you want to get tons of views, that's fine. But I have a software that we're tracking 500 million views from YouTube. And I can see what style of content works. And vlogging is consistently the worst for business growth. And I haven't seen any arguments to suggest that even just growing a big audience is that valuable because you're generally going to attract the wrong people for you anyway, unless you're studying something super low ticket. But if you do that, you end up with a interesting audience, sort of chargebacks. Like it's a nightmare.
Problem. Yeah.
It's not an audience I would ever recommend you go for, right? So if you want to make money, there's a few types. Deep dives, where you're basically just saying, look, I'm going to show you how to get a specific result you want. And you lay it out in a way that's very easy to understand. That converts. It doesn't have to be 2 hours long, but like your video, like you said, that'll probably be really good for your business. Then what I call a short process video. It's a deep dive, but 8 to 10 minutes long. It's the same thing, but you go and you teach them how to get a specific result, but you cut out 80% of the stuff that doesn't matter, and you give them only the 20 that does, and you don't tell them everything. It's kind of like, here's an overview of the big moves to make, and that basically inspires people because it's not overwhelming. And what happens is they'll watch that, they'll go and action one of the big steps, one of the moves that, that actually makes a difference, and it'll work, and they'll come back and they'll be like, I'm going to keep watching you. So those ones have been some of my most profitable. You then have roasts, or a review. So what I'll do is I'll say, send me your channel on your business. I will review it in a video, and I'll go and point out mistakes. These do amazingly well for conversion and sales. They don't do as well for views because it's like conversion content, right? So it's not really designed to attract new viewers. It's kind of more familiar with the hot viewers you already have. And what you do is you just say, look, here's the problem you've got. You point it out. A lot of the stuff I do is visual, so I'll redesign their sales page and go, here's how to fix it, and then explain it. And then I move on to the next viewer and do this 3 or 4 times. But the reason that will make you so much more money is most people on YouTube are just copying other people's videos. They take their script, they edit it on, they get in blog posts, they're not experts. So if you are genuinely good at what you do and you review someone's stuff, it is abundantly clear to the viewers that this person is so much better than everyone else. And that will just raise your credibility, it will warm people up, those generate a ton of sales. After that, you got like a listicle, which is like 10 mistakes. That's kind of hit and miss and random. But then things like interviews don't do well, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Because you're passing credibility on to someone else. So I will share this with my email list, my community wall, because this will make me money. Sorry to...
No, I knew what you were saying. Right? But some of your audience is my audience as well, so it's vice versa.
Yeah, right.
So I know some of my clients bought your stuff.
That's the benefit.
Yeah.
It's like there's a crossover, but often interviews, a lot of people get into it because you can get massive views, but it often passes credibility over. And then you've got case studies, which are literally just saying, oh, this is how I made this person get a result. And those can do amazing for views, can do amazing for business. But that's what most people should be testing when they come to YouTube. They should jump between those different formats and just keep trying them. And then when they find, oh, the short process works, do that every other video and then experiment with the other styles. Because once you have multiple formats that work, you're not typecast anymore. So I don't know if you ever saw Noah Kagan.
Yeah, I reckon it's neat.
He did like asking millionaires how.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
So those videos, millions of views. Him talking in the middle, nothing. Viewers don't come back because those viewers just want those interviews, right? So we don't want to get into a position where we only have one format that works because eventually it will stop and those viewers won't come back to anything else. So I want like 3 or 4 different styles of videos that I can repeat, and then every 4 or 5 experiments find a new, because eventually one of those other ones will drop off.
So it's interesting what you just said there as well about you making money from this. So there's a friend of mine who has a very big podcast, but he doesn't make any money. So the way we kind of run our podcast is I will have people I think who are sick who I genuinely want to learn from.
Yeah.
Be yourself. I will get them to come and I get to learn stuff, share sick information with everyone else. And then we kind of alternate between guests like that and then solo episodes with me teaching stuff. So it's a kind of a blend, which I think is the best thing. And I don't think a lot of people use the word positioning earlier, but also the positioning in terms of how you put yourself in certain situations.
There's something else you could do. So years ago, I did an interview with another creator who was blowing up really fast. And I did the interview, but I also gave him advice on what he could have done better or what he could improve in his own business. And I remember it filled up my call calendar for 3 months after. Every single person was in his niche. I just had calls like with people over and over again. They watched it and gone, oh, it was like you called out every problem I had. So that the video did okay. It didn't do as well, but it allowed me to harness his story and bring in my own credibility. And the viewers liked it as well. Yeah.
Quick interjection to the podcast. I know a lot of people watching the podcast haven't yet subscribed. I have one small favor, so help us get bigger and better guests to give you more value. It's hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it massively. I think people want to see people in action learning and fixing problems.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, they do. Especially if it's their own. The moment you fix the problem they have right now in front of them, that's when they're hooked and then they'll pay for something.
What do you find is the best way to convert traffic from YouTube into, say, paying clients? Do you think attaching things like VSLs and like the description links, like what's your kind of approach you advise people
For
with?
high ticket?
Yeah, for high ticket.
I usually just advise do the lazy dumb version up first and then optimize it from there. So the cool thing about YouTube is you warm people up so much because they might have been watching you for like 30 hours. So if you're just YouTube, your funnel doesn't need to be as optimized as ads, right? They'll literally go out of their way to try and find your offer if your marketing sucks. So usually just start simple. It's like drive them to a sales page with a VSL and a book a call, like just see what happens, right? And then from there, you can either take away the call, which I did. I used to sell 5K, no call. Just they had to apply and I sent them a link and then they'd buy it, which was just because they were so hot. But most people need a call in at that point, right? So just start with the basics and see what happens. And then from that point on, just look at, what's the lead quality like? Come into the call. Am I wasting my time with time wasters? Then just start bringing in some pre-qualification in the form, like, can you afford this and so on, and bolt on extra complexity. And that's kind of it. We also do email. So my funnel is very simple. It's YouTube with a link to my offer below it. My offer has a wait list. So it's only open, the sales are open for it usually sells out within 6 or 7 days, and we open it every month. So it usually drives them to a wait list, which is basically a sales page. But then below that, I have a link to an email, a lead magnet, just my email, whatever. That email then sends them into like a 20-day nurture. So they get an email every other day, which always soft pitches the offer and then hard pitches it in the last few days. So basically every road goes back to my sales page. And then every week I send one email to my list. And that's it. And then we just get all the traffic from there to the sales page to a call. We cancel half the calls because they're not qualified. Then we convert half of them. And that's it.
How big's your sales team?
3.
Okay. Why do you only open it one time of the year? Is that just because of the way you fulfill the program?
So
what time of the month, sorry?
I always think of business as like a boat.
Okay.
Right? And most people are obsessed with scaling. And they're like, oh, our problem is we need more people. And it never is. Their problem is usually the boat isn't big enough, right? So they're like, it's chaos. There's too many people in their boat. The systems aren't working. There's complaints. They're like, I've only got a 4% refund rate. And I'm like, that's awful. 4% is horrific. Like
that your payment process will shut down. Yeah.
Yeah, right? So it's like, Apple's not sitting there going, we only get 4%, there's something wrong. So I shut my business down all the time to work on the product because I'm like, I don't want a huge team. I don't want complaints. I want everyone's coming with the best experience possible. So I shut it down for 3 months to rebuild the course because I was like, I think I can make this better. In that time, I created a wait list. And then when we opened, conversions of the sales team went up 50%, like to 55%. They were about 25% before. And then I shut it because I'd made big changes to my course. And I was like, I don't know if people come in to this and the changes have worked. And I don't want hundreds of people coming in to something that got worse, right? Because then my boat's going to sink.
Yeah.
So I shut it and then started a wait list. And then the next month I was like, right, we'll open it properly now and just stay open. Same thing happened. Sold out in a few, it sold out. And I was like, shut it. Let's just shut it. Because so many sold. And I was like, let's just shut it. Do this again. This is easier. And what it meant was 3 weeks of the month, I don't have to think about sales at all. All I have to do is make videos and send emails that drive people to my wait list. So I have one number that controls my entire business. How big is the wait list? If I look halfway through the month and it's a little bit smaller than I want, I do more promotion. If it's where I want, I leave it. Because weirdly, it was the same every time. The wait list, 500 people, half the people apply, cancel half of them, convert half of them. And I was like, oh, this is simple. And then I'm looking at it going, right, how do I now improve my boat? So instead of letting 30 people or 50 people in, we could get it to 100 and still give them the best experience possible without me having to expand my team. And that meant I had to rebuild my course again because I looked and I was like, well, we can get it to 100 a month coming in if we reduce support because the content's so good they don't need to ask any questions. So I built AI, I rebuilt the course, rebuilt the content. That was a few months ago. It's already our support system is just going down and down and down and down. So we can grow the business without piling on more people. And then I have a boat that won't sink. There's no chaos. There's no refund requests. And that's kind of how I do it. But we are testing ads for a bit. We just want to see if it's easier. Because the other thing that I'm thinking about is I'm a big believer in get as expensive as you possibly can and work with as few people as possible.
Rude, same.
So I want to not go to 100 people a month. I want to keep it at the same size because it's actually very comfortable and very easy at this size. But I want to put the price up double. So to do that, we need significantly more volume at the top of the funnel. And then we can turn more people away. And for me to get more volume to my wait list, I would have to post twice a week. And if I want a holiday, it's not good. So I was like, I can do it, but if I'm looking over the 10-year horizon, that's not a sustainable approach. So my new strategy is, let's see if we can get ads working. Then maybe we don't need the wait list. We can create massive demand, charge more, only let on a few people. And then maybe we can downsell something else at some point. But it would then mean I don't have to make YouTube videos. And the cool thing about that is, if I then want to spend another 3 months working all day, every day on my program to upgrade it, the business makes no difference. Like the sales team don't like it when I turn off our sales because they're like, all right, they've been amazing. Like they've accepted it and they're bought into the vision. But if you have 100% focus on something, it gets so much better, so much faster. And ads, YouTube, like everything's a distraction, right? From what I should be doing, which is just making my product as good as it can possibly be so I can get my price up and give everyone the best experience.
Are you looking to do Meta or YouTube ads?
We just started Meta.
Okay.
We didn't do YouTube. No one advised me it was a good idea. And they were like, even though you're on YouTube, I don't think you should do it. And I was like, oh, let's just start with Meta. I don't care. Like, we'll see what happens.
My personal opinion is why I don't think YouTube ads is great. It's because anyone who can afford whatever is $8, $10 a month to not see the ads
doesn't see them.
So then, like the people you want who are going to pay the high premiums, you're not going to get. Other than like the shady marketers who have accounts where they don't have them, so they can see the ads. So like, I think that kind of messed it up a little bit.
That's a very good point. I didn't think about that because I've paid for that ages ago, right? Because it saves you so much time. And you're right. The people I want are making a lot of money already. They value their time.
Yeah, so $10 to skip the ad, they're kind of good with that, I think. The business you have is obviously very like clearly cut and kind of very efficient in terms of from an acquisition standpoint. I saw James Smith, actually, you just saw before this, made a video kind of arguing with you against short form content and long form content, and I love the visual representation with I think with the M&Ms.
Yeah.
What's your opinion in terms of like short form content, whether people should also pursue that as well as YouTube? Let's say someone's like day one starting a business, and let's say someone's already got a business and makes, let's say, 10, 20K a month.
I've got to have an enemy, right?
Okay.
Which is short form for me. It just doesn't make sense for anyone to do it.
If I'm transparent, I hate making short form content.
Well, no one
because it's low leverage. I know I make this video and then like a week no one cares.
Well, I don't ever go on it come off feeling good. If I haven't had it on my phone for ages, and because we did ads, I had to open it up again, right? And I was stuck, and I'm like, half an hour later, I'm like, I'm watching a load of crap. And I'm like, I don't feel good. I feel more tense. It makes sense, right? You've just constantly got hooks coming at you. The whole point of a hook is to raise tension, right? So it's like, tense, right? Waiting for the payoff, and then another one comes. So I didn't really want to be part of that, but also. So my argument was it's actually more work to post 30 pieces of content a month because you have to do 90 tasks, because you have to do 30 ideas, and then, you have to do hundreds of tasks because you do 30 ideas, 30 edits, 30 videos, upload 90 videos because it gets repurposed everywhere. And I think it's more work than YouTube in terms of management. James's point was it's easier to get started on. He's right, it is. But I got started on YouTube. And the feedback loop is the only beneficial thing of short form, in that you can see very quickly within a month what content to repeat. But then you're basically just repeating stuff that won't grow your business as well as putting the time into YouTube in the first place. And no one can even remember in the first place. So I still think YouTube's the best place. The barrier for entry is so much lower than it's ever been, because the trend years ago was cinematic, editing, B-roll. It's not. It's authentic. Very little editing now. Just if you're very credible, just go on YouTube and make videos. Like, it's easier in that sense. The AI is helping a lot. The thumbnails for AI is helping a lot. Like, it's getting easier and easier and easier. So I don't see why you would. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're the sort of person that doesn't want to do the hard thing, don't start a business.
Get a job.
Yeah, so short form's easier, where it's like, cool, you're going to have a really tough adventure. Like, just do the hard thing straight away.
Yeah, I think that's where people should just jump in at the deep end and just kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
How much, say if someone's watching this and okay, I want to go start a YouTube channel, I want to start making content, and I get a lot of like our clients, people ask me a lot of time about that. where do you think is the first port of call in terms of for them to kind of get started? And like, what do you think is the best process that people should use in terms of an ideation? Like you mentioned, I think, in my opinion, everything is the idea. Like if the idea, like we did a video recently, like I think I text Mike whilst watching it. I was like, this Alex Hormozi book launch is sick. I'm just gonna make a video tomorrow morning and film it, and it just ripped.
Yeah.
We got out straight away, and it just rode the wave of like traffic, and the thumbnail I made was sick.
Yeah.
What's your opinion in terms of like ideation and where people should start with that?
So the annoying thing is you have to really understand YouTube, right? And that means, so the way I got good at it was half an hour a day. I sat on my phone on the homepage scrolling down. So I watched all the stuff on my account that my ideal buyers are watching. Then YouTube pushes me more videos that ideal buyer would like. And then I'm just scrolling, and the second something took my eye, I'd be like, oh, that was interesting. What's the title? What's the thumbnail? Why did that hook me? Right, I'll write that down. Oh, look, it's got lots of views. Good. And then you keep doing it. And eventually, if you just do this every day, you can do it anywhere. It's like sitting on the back of a train. You will start to understand human psychology of what gets a click, which is nearly always curiosity-based, making people curious to want to know why shouldn't I do that, or how did they do that, or what will happen if I do that. That is when you become a YouTuber, right? In that you get it. So that's the first sense, is researching your niche, researching the adjacent niches. So if you are a guitar channel, you would research the drum channel, and you would look what title structures, what thumbnails, what words in the thumbnails did well in that content. And you basically just create a giant spreadsheet. And then you want a list of titles and a list of what I call power words. These are the words that associated with views. They're usually stuff like lies or quit, or you'll just notice they're always in videos that have more views. And then you just start playing with the titles. So you say, right, this sort of title here, I'm going to use that exact title, but I'm going to swap this word with another one of my power words. And then you just got to throw stuff out. And you'll eventually, just through testing and researching, start to see what your exact viewers want. And this is where it gets tricky, because everyone's like, oh, I just copy other channels. That doesn't work, because that YouTube creator who's doing well with that specific format, thumbnail, and title, his viewership might be slightly different to yours, and they might actually want that, or he might be better at presenting that. So you've got to try this other stuff, and you might find the exact opposite works in sort of content style, content length, but a similar title. So you've just got to keep testing, really. And that's what people don't want to do, because why would you want to fail for 2 years, right? Or 18 months? So the advantage of winning is just being so tenacious you don't quit, because most people will, and then you end up on the top.
Well, that's kind of like our plan with YouTube is literally, I just don't care. I'll just keep making videos until we get fairly on, and we'll just eventually figure it out. And I've done that with everything else in business. So like, I'll eventually get there through like kind of brute force violence of like, it's kind of put 2 and 2 together eventually.
It's so simple, it's dumb. If you make 10 videos and they all get 100 views and one gets 1,000 views, do the one that got 1,000 views very similar. Similar title, similar structure, similar everything. Like I have clients, we put out that same video that's a year old that did well. We just changed the intro and put it out, and it will do better.
Literally just cut the front off the start.
We've been testing it. So some of my clients were like, Ed, what can I do to get content out faster? And I was like, why don't you just delete the intro, write a new one, come up with a new thumbnail title, slap up the old body of the video. And my client did it, he put 2 out. One of them got less than the original. One of them got 5 times more views than the original. No one noticed.
So one of the other things, I mentioned we had this course video that did really well, is we've got, say that course is broken into 6 segments. We've got loads of videos on those individual 6 segments.
Yeah.
Is film an intro and like almost like segments between and stick it all together into like another 2-3 hour video that will be a course.
Compilations.
Yeah.
Amazing for conversion as well. So again, like I have one that's 5 hours long, not that many views. I think it made me $47,000 in the first week of posting it. But it was, people went and watched 5 hours of a video and they come out and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's great, right? And then they look into your offer. So compilations, just getting, what I would do is if you're tracking sales from your videos, is get all your highest converting videos and put them into a compilation video and then put that out, because you probably find it becomes a sales asset. And then what you can do is, you don't even have to let YouTube push this. So because I know which videos generate me sales, I just, at the end of my video, I tell everyone to watch this next video. And it's because it generates sales. So 10% of people, for example, might, or let's say who see the end screen, between 10 and 20%, 10 and 20% of people click on that. So you get a 10 to 20% click-through rate. On anywhere else on YouTube, the only person getting that is Mr. Beast on day one of a launch. Like, it's not possible. So you take control of the traffic and you drive them towards a sales asset. And that's when you don't even need that many views. You just need to funnel people through a couple of videos. And then you'll find that video that converts keeps converting.
With YouTube and what you're doing with that, what softwares do you use? What would you recommend people use? Like things like vidIQ, 1of10.com, stuff like that?
So I don't really, I use my own software.
Okay.
I'm not trying to plug it.
Please plug it. You plug whatever you want.
The problem with the YouTube Studio in particular is it is optimized to help you make them ad revenue by getting more views. And as a business, we don't want more views. We want the right viewers coming into our sales system. So people go on YouTube and they post a video. And if you don't know about YouTube, every video you post gets ranked 1 out of 10 out of the last 10. And people get a 10 and have an existential crisis, a breakdown, they cry.
Want to quit?
Yeah, right? And I was like, when I partnered up with one of my old students, I was like, I really want to know what it does like for the business. So he built some software, and within like a month or two, I've got tons of screenshots of this. The 10 of 10 on YouTube, we rebuilt the 1 of 10 board for sales and clicks and emails, was a 1 of 10. And I was like, oh, there is no correlation sometimes between views and growing a business. So I just use my software and I look and I'm like, right, what got me the highest dollar per view? Because it breaks it down. So I have some videos getting $10 per view. And if you have a high dollar per view, it means the perfect viewer went through your funnel because they found the content really relevant and they went into your system and they bought. So I just want loads of videos of high dollar per view, right? Because that's what's making us more money. Then you're going to find some blow up and get 100,000 views and the dollar per view crashes and that grows your audience and that might have a knock-on effect. But all I look at is the data of what grew my email, because that ends up at the sales page, what generated sales. And then I'll look at views as well as part of that. But most of the time, I'm not in with the position I'm in. I'm not trying to get more views. I'm just trying to get people to my email on my sales page. So that's the software I use. And then if I'm doing ideation on YouTube,
what is that software? Can people publicly buy it?
Yeah.
Subtle plug. We'll put a link below.
I've made videos about how I did it. It doubled my turnover in 90 days because I started making what got me more.
So question on that, should we use Hyros and UTM tracking codes coming from an ads background? Is it similar to that?
Yeah. So I started using Hyros, but I was like, what I wanted was a dashboard that said my video title, how many clicks it had, how many emails, how many sales, dollar per view, all these metrics. And you couldn't do that on Hyros back then. Yeah. And this mainly for ads, right? I was using it for organics. It's not the tool that it's supposed to be used for. I just wanted something simpler and quicker, specifically for YouTube on organic content. So it's the same sort of idea, but you learn really interesting stuff. Like there was one video that got 15,000 views, and I remember thinking like, this is a massive flop. And I looked the other day, it's done $60,000. And I was like, that's a massive amount of dollars for the views. What happened? And I watched it, and in the video, I talk about something called warm audience depletion, right? So you probably know what that means. It's a very specific problem. And the people that bought all had that problem. They were like, one, I diagnosed it, and they didn't even know it existed. And then they'd gone, I need help fixing it, and come in. So when you see all this data, you can then realize that the type of content you make drives a warmer viewer, warms people up better. You can then see what gets your emails better. You can then test like calls to action at certain times in the video after certain points. And then you get a better understanding what lead magnets are working. So that's all I really use. It's not going to help a channel get off the ground from zero. You need to be a business with an offer and ideally have a funnel that's already converting sales. If it's not, the data's not going to look great. And then after that, I use 1 of 10 for YouTube, which is like, just helps you find outliers. But most of the time I come up with my ideas based on my own channel's data rather than what else is out there.
Your software, can you split test different types of funnels to see which ones? So like, say for example, we put this video out and then I've got, I want to test these 2 different links to 2 different funnels and see which one performs.
Split test the link?
Yeah.
We can split test the sales page.
Okay.
We're just building that now. The link would be the same and then it would split. You could, as long as you were split test
filter traffic.
Yeah. That's what we want to start doing as well. So Tom's
because I'd want to try almost like completely different, sending people different things to see what kind of happens. Because I feel like at the moment that's one of the frustrations when you send people from YouTube is like, I don't know how many people come in specific from where, and like, if I tried this link, what would perform better? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing. So we're the market for it is probably people like you, where it's like we understand funnels and we want certain things putting in so we can track, because data is powerful, right? When you know how powerful it is, it changes everything. So yeah, that's coming soon because I want that too.
How are you utilizing AI from a content perspective with YouTube? Are you allowed to say?
Mind. Yeah. Like I use it for everything. So weirdly, I don't use it in a way that a lot of people think. So the most impactful thing was building it into my product. So it's not necessarily YouTube, and that halved the amount of support inquiries we got. Because people could just go to AI, get thumbnail feedback, title feedback, script feedback, intro feedback. I built bots that write them intros, and then they're like very good. So there's that. Also for research on YouTube, I have bots that do research and simplify that process of finding outliers. So that's probably another tool that I use most for research, is ones that I built into my program. But then recently with the Google Studio AI, this has been the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen. Like, I'm building software apps with it now within half an hour. So the other day I built people put in a headshot. So my clients will put in a headshot. It will then pick their expression. It will then make it look like a professional photo. They can pick where in the image they want it. They can add text. They can change the background colors. I basically just knocked up like a version of Photoshop that's very easy to use. So that I'm giving that to my clients. I then built another one where they create a big vision board. So when you're coming up with thumbnails and titles, you usually want to have like a lot, so you can see different creative, like from above with the title. Someone had said to me, "Oh, Ed, I love Milanote," which is like a vision board software I get them to use. So I was like, "Oh, why don't I build this?" Within an hour, I'd built them new vision board software where they can see their thumbnails and different titles, click buttons, so all the thumbnails and titles change, but then they can press analyze, and the AI gives them the feedback on the packaging. But the AI's got so good, it's giving like really good feedback now. So I'm bringing it into my product more, but then I'll use that in the content. So one of the best things, if you want to get emails, sign up from videos, is to make a tool you use in the video. So I have a AI called Skyscraper Bot, which basically reads comments of the YouTube video and takes the scripts. And then it will tell you what the video is about, what the viewers loved, what was missing, what they didn't want, what you should include in your next video on this topic. I gave that away for free, and the conversion rates, the link clicks, I think the video I gave it away, and 16% of people who watch the video click the link. And then every time they use Skyscraper Bot at the bottom, it pitches them. It says, if you want to go more seriously on this, it's got a better call to action, but it sends it to my sales page. So that link alone has generated $45,000 just from people using it and then going to seek out more. So I'm using AI as lead magnets. And then it will help me with writing, but I'm a writer, so it's not good enough yet to replace me. But I find it good for voice dumping. So I will just record myself talking out loud like I am now when I've got a video idea. Then I throw that transcript into AI and I say, order it, turn it into a bullet point plan, logically structure it so it reduces cognitive load, which is like how hard people have to think. And then it will spit out the right order of the plan. And then from that, I'm like, cool, I'm going to now record myself talking that script. The same way, I then have the script from me speaking rather than typing, which is faster. And then I edit that. So the initial process of writing a script, which is very tough for a lot of people because you get stuck in your head, you don't know what to say. The time has like dropped to about 25% of what it was. And then it's more of an editing job now rather than a writing job.
Do you think people should always either teleprompt or have kind of bullet points to work off?
Yeah, so I would always recommend teleprompts. And I'll argue with this with anyone. So I used to have a production company and we put hundreds of people in front of a camera. I think we edited 14,000 videos in the time I was there. And they were all talking head, talking to camera. And for years we were like, no teleprompter, just come in. We'll get you presenting, it's fine. And we had people crying, people shaking, people couldn't say a line. They couldn't think about what they wanted to say and present. And in the end, this person couldn't do it. And my business partner was like, I'm just going to write a script. Here, read this. And it was like, bosh, easy. So we're like, oh, wait, there's a big time saving here. The problem is there's a trade-off. No one wants to write. But if you write, You can remove waffle, tangents, overwhelm. The biggest killer of YouTube videos is people over-explain. So the viewer's going, I get the point. Because they've done such a good job of explaining, and then they keep explaining. So the viewer then goes, get to the point. And then they start to get confused about, wait, did I understand that point in the first place? So when you don't have a script, you open up all these like avenues for risk to screw it up. So everything I do is planned, and then I present everything from a teleprompter, and I have for years. But then the other objection is, oh, I don't want to come across as, fake or unauthentic. And it's like, well, then learn to present. I don't think I necessarily come off as fake. You can probably tell I have different modes of presenting, but you can turn it up and turn it down. It's just practice. But the difference is, I tested this recently. I shot one video that was supposed to be like a 45-minute deep dive. It took me 6 hours to film because I did it and I was like, I knew I was waffling. So I went back, shot it again, got out the memory card. The card had corrupted. I was like, shot it again. So 6 hours. Then I get this to my editor, but I have to tell him where to put certain things and what to do, which took a day. So there's 6 hours of filming and an entire day of my time, where if I'd just written it, I would have shot a 25-minute script in half an hour. So you can smash out loads of content and it's easier to edit, so long as you go through the initial grind of learning to write.
Do you think you can fully script using AI, or you can, from what we do, we get like a base framework with AI and then kind of like tweak it a bit?
The problem with AI is it's not very good at adding stuff. It's very good at editing. So loads of people are like, oh, my AI system's great. And I read it and I'm like, one, this is clearly AI. It doesn't sound anything like you. They're using loads of random words. And what AI does is, because it hasn't been told to be an expert on something, right? It uses really vague words, which you don't want to use. So in marketing, right, if you're like, this will help you get better, no one's picturing in their mind going, oh, it's going to help me get better. If I turn around and say, this is going to help you lose 3.5 pounds in the next 30 days, the viewers know. And then they have something they can picture, and that makes it more engaging for them, right? And more believable. AI is always super vague. So it ends up with these really vague scripts with words no one's actually using. It shortens sentences a lot, way more than you do when you speak. And everyone's is just starting to sound the same. And the problem is, when you're in the space, you can spot it a mile off. The people who aren't can't, but they will be. Everyone's going to be in it. It's just going to get to the point where if you're using the AI script, people are going to go, oh, it's not even these words, is even expert. And I think they're going to start writing you off. So you need to make sure it sounds human. And for me, it's all about get it to edit, not to write. And then it's good. And then whatever it edits and rewrites, basically, then you rewrite it to sound like you. And put in words like so at the start of a sentence, or right, you know what I mean, right? These are human words that the AI will never use.
So like when we've teleprompted stuff, I kind of freeball a bit through the script sometimes, where it just naturally, I feel like I want to say it a different way. Do you think, because I saw a bit of a resurgence, there was a friend of mine last year and he just freeballed all his videos and they were actually kind of really shit. And I was like, I don't understand how this guy's blowing up. They literally would just be like him talking to camera with a coffee, and it was all like he had a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Do you think there's also like the kind of the polar extreme with this, like some of it's so...
Who was that?
Will Brown?
Yeah, so I can see Will's apartment from mine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Set face.
Yeah, so don't think about what he's saying. Think about what he's done. So in YouTube, you have to be different. And before Will, there was no one who'd come on YouTube and said, I sold an info business. So he was instantly different, right? So people want to listen to the person who's done the new exciting thing they want. They don't want to listen to the same thing they've heard over and over again. So what Will's really good at doing is he uses his credibility all of the time. He's also very good at copywriting. You can tell he understands marketing, his titles. So he understands, like I was saying, specificness. But then he simplifies stuff a lot. So when we talk about cognitive load, the cognitive load is when your brain is like trying. And if we start throwing complexity in, people have to think harder, and they don't like that. And what a viewer will often do is go, this isn't for me. I'm not at that level yet. Or they'll kind of get bored because they didn't watch a YouTube video to be challenged. So Will's is just stories. You're never going to watch his video and think hard. It'll just slip into your head. So he used his credibility and his backstory, kept things very simple. But that won't work for many people. because you haven't sold an info business for millions. So the people who are like, I'm going to copy Will, it's like, don't, because you have to make up for that somehow, because Will can ride his credibility. But if you don't have that, you've got to find another way to differentiate, and that is hard. So successful people with amazing backstories get away with it.
So you helped James Smith crush it on his YouTube channel. Do you think a lot of his success on there is based on the fact that he was like a 3 times best-selling author and all the other backstory he'd done, or maybe in the success he's had with short-form content as well?
Yeah, James was weird because he knew all of the stuff I told him, but it clicked. So I think he was doing all of this stuff really well on social media, but maybe couldn't articulate why. And then when I started working with him, something just seemed to go off where he was like, and then when he really got it, everything became, I think, more intentional. So he was incredibly engaging and confident and funny. So I'd never heard of him. And my ex-girlfriend was listening to him on a podcast. And I was like, who's this guy? It's hilarious. She was like, oh, this is James Smith. And then I was like, oh, so he polarizes. So you either love him or hate him. He has very good stories. He's very intelligent. And he's also very interesting. So all of these things add up to make you an engaging character, which you can then, people either love or hate and start watching. So he's got proper fans. Like they watch everything he does, right? So yeah, a lot of his success was down to all of the stuff he'd done, for sure. He just seems to be way more like strategic now.
Do you think it's a mistake for people? So I know a lot of people have, for example, YouTube channels. They start then like lumping in like podcast videos in there as well, and the whole thing comes a bit of a mess. Do you think people should have separate channels for separate types of content if they want to try and do different things?
Kind of. So I used to use interviews as a format because they were easy to get views and they would expand the top of my funnel with new viewers who would come in. So it was a strategy where I'd do it every 4 videos. So you can do that. That's absolutely fine. It becomes one of your content funnels. But what you might find is some viewers only come back for that. If you really want to go all in on a podcast, then you want to have a separate channel. Because remember what I said about the format of the video attracts a certain fan of a format. So if you go from format of interview to talking head, the fans of the interview might not click on the talking head because they're like, that's not the sort of content I like. So you might see views fluctuate a lot. It's not necessarily a huge problem. You just have to expect it to fluctuate and understand this type of content brings in a different audience. But if I was going to do a podcast, as a podcast, I just go all in on that and be like, that's the podcast channel, that's the talking head channel. But the podcast for me would be way more top of funnel.
I think with that as well, the other thing I see in our analytics is like I mentioned earlier about trying to like posting frequency, but then videos kind of like stepping on themselves. So like if you post a video too soon after something started to pop off, it then cuts it off, kind of getting pushed to new colder traffic. Is that correct?
Yeah. So YouTube says isn't true, but it is, but also it's not, right? So when you launch a video, YouTube's going to test it with different viewer types. You've got like hot, right? Fans, whatever you want to call them. These are the people that watch everything that you do. And if that audience clicks on it, it's going to push to more fans, right? It's also going to test it with like less hot, like casual viewers. They might have been back a bit forward over the last like 6 months. So if it pops with them, it's going to push it to more of them. And then it's going to test it with some cold viewers. And if it pops with the cold viewers, it's going to push it to more cold viewers, right? So what happens when people release a daily video, they will post their next video and they will see the old video's views turn off. Now, the only reason that happens is because it was only getting pushed to those return viewers and fans. And now the new thing has come. So that one's getting pushed. But if it was doing well, if the data was good with all of the audience groups, it won't drop it. It will keep pushing it. You've basically just replaced something that wasn't performing very well. Now, YouTube have said this doesn't happen, but I've seen loads of examples of channels like posting daily where as soon as they post, the other one just drops. So that's kind of how it made sense to me, is that, they're just competing with a video that wasn't performing, so YouTube would replace it with one that's maybe doing better. And that makes sense.
I think one of the best case studies is someone who probably crushed it, blown out the water, particularly in the info space, which I imagine a lot of your clients may be coming from, is Iman Ghazi.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he specifically did to kind of catapult himself? Because he went from like 180 subscribers to maybe like 1.45 plus million in like 12 months or something crazy.
Yeah, well, if you go down to the foundational things again, rather than the tricks he did, that were very smart, he was an interesting character. He kind of made himself like a mysterious old man. He was young, right? But also, he had an incredible backstory. He was unique because he was so successful so young, which made him what I call social currency, right? In that people share, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this guy? He did a very good job of targeting a young audience who at that point, no one was talking to on YouTube. There was no one going after the young guys. It wasn't really age targeted, but what happens on YouTube is you relate to certain people. So I've never watched an Iman video, even though he's a genius and can probably teach me a lot, because I don't relate to a guy in his 20s, right? I'm nearly 40. So I watched Chris Do and the people who are older than me. So he did an amazing job of finding a gap of an audience that was underserved and then being very unique, very tactical, very consistent. And he had a lot of fantastic stories. And again, he was good at explaining stuff. Then his unique strategy came in. If he didn't have any of those things, I don't think it would have worked. But his unique strategy was Tate's strategy, flood short form with tons and tons of videos, and then drive all those viewers back to your YouTube, right? So he had one link below all of his short form platform content, right? Hundreds of channels pumping out all these videos. I think someone told me he was making 50,000 short form videos a month. Someone who went to his mastermind, some crazy number. And then it was driving all these people to his YouTube, and every YouTube video point back to a VSL, which was positioned as the best business to start online in 2025, something like that. That got millions of views. That then got people into his funnel. So that was the unique thing. He doesn't do it anymore. He's probably found something that different, but it just wouldn't have worked if he hadn't have had those foundations down.
Is there a harm in pulling people from other platforms into YouTube? Because I've also heard of this like YouTube myths of, like you shouldn't share your YouTube videos onto Instagram stories because you're pulling people from external platforms, and then YouTube will stop like pushing it out.
Well, the best promotion you ever get on YouTube is YouTube, right? And you can't really drive traffic to a YouTube video unless you did what Iman did, where it was just like insane volume. So when we used to work on an Instagram account, it really blew up like in COVID, like it grew 2,000 followers a day. It was blowing up. And we got to about 300,000 followers really quick. And we used to share the YouTube video we'd launched that week in the story, and it would get 8 views from the potential pool of like, then this is a channel that was blowing up, right? So the stories would get a lot of views. People on Instagram don't want to go to YouTube. They want to go on Instagram. Otherwise they would have gone on YouTube, right? So trying to get them off, it's not a very good conversion rate. And then there's the argument that if you're sharing your YouTube video with Instagram, is it going to bring over the wrong people for your channel? And then you do that, and then YouTube's like, hang on a sec, suddenly there's a different audience watching this now, and then it starts maybe pushing your content to the wrong audience. But you would have to get a lot of people to do that. I tell everyone not to promote YouTube videos anywhere at all. No email, nothing.
Not even an email list.
No, because if you email your list, it's the same sort of thing. You might drive, it depends how clean your list is and targeted, right? A lot of people don't have a very good list. So if they drive the wrong people at it, that's a problem. But also, when people used to start to work with me, the first thing they'd always ask is, should I keep doing that? I say no. And their views would slam, right? Because they'd put a new video out and they'd be like, oh, Ed, it's doing rubbish. I was like, yeah, because you used to get all your views from email. 10 weeks later, it's all forgotten. The views are working. Like, just let YouTube work it out. It doesn't.
So do you think that kind of maybe muddies the water a bit sometimes?
Yeah, maybe. Again, YouTube have said it doesn't matter, and it's probably more sophisticated enough to work it out. And I think if you have a lot of traffic, it's probably more of a problem than if you don't. But I stopped doing it years ago, and I grew significantly faster. It's not a 10x move, copying and pasting a link from YouTube anywhere. It's a waste of your time. Like, you could spend that 10 seconds better on someone else.
Yeah, it's probably a fair comment. You can't systematize a lot of that, but
yeah. But it's just not worth the effort. The thing that is worth the effort is when you work out what video converts, and then maybe you build that into your like funnel where you're getting more people to watch that, and then you're taking control of the traffic. That's fine. Embed it on a site. I've got a live stream I did. I just took down. It's still up. I just downloaded it, and then I've uploaded that as a lead magnet because it converted really well for my software. So I get people to watch that. So it's on my channel, but they'll give me their email for it.
And I presume there's also no issues with you in terms of like integrating YouTube videos and things like school and pulling views in from that.
I don't
Again,
know if that's school, but people embedding within school, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will just go down as an external traffic source. YouTube splits all this stuff into traffic sources. So you've got the homepage, that has a different algorithm. Suggested down the side, that's a different algorithm. Search, external, channel pages, like the traffic in that external shouldn't really impact how well your video performs on the homepage because it keeps everything different. It's intent, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you were searching how to fix a sink and you fixed your sink and then went on the homepage and it was just videos about fixing a sink. It would annoy you, right? Because you want to watch cars or whatever. So it has everything separated. It's smart, so it shouldn't cause many problems.
To kind of wrap things up, if you were a creator and you're watching this, and you want to grow on YouTube, say in the next 24 months, what are the main 2 to 3 things you would focus on?
When you say creator, do they have a business?
They business. Everyone who watches has a business.
Yeah.
Not someone who just wants to be famous.
Have they started at all?
Yeah, they've started.
Okay, so it really is a case of treat everything like a test and remove all the emotion. The more emotional you get about this, the more likely you are to quit, and everyone gets very emotional about performance. So just think, all I need is traffic, and I need to test content styles, thumbnails, titles, until I find that thing that gets me views, and then just keep doing that. That's all you need to do. Do not jump between topics and be like, this one video is going to be like dating advice, and this next one's going to be like how to be a better you, because people aren't going to come back for these random different topics. Just find one problem and be like, I am going to be the guy or girl that solves that problem. And then just make every video the solution to that problem in the thumbnail and title, and then inside talk about other stuff. If you can't do that, you're not going to get anywhere.
That's some very good advice to figure. So thank you very much for your time. Where's the best place for people to find out you, the software, the stuff you do?
Just go to my channel, Ed Lawrence.
The YouTube, you'll find him, I'm sure.
That's the start of my funnel.
There you go. You're in the spider web. Be thankful to everyone who watched this. If you took a load of value, make sure you check out Ed. And if you also check out the other video that's on screen right now and subscribe, we'll see you next episode coming up. It's cool, dude. That's really, really good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Good. No worries.